Hi, this is Gary from GAN Railroad, and today I'm going to do another Talking Trains where I discuss the LCCA Convention 2023. I just got back and it was a lot of fun and it was completely worth it. And I'm going to explain a lot of stuff. Some of the things you can ask any questions you want of Lionel. So I asked him about returns. What percentage of returns do they get of new stuff to be repaired from the dealers as well as sent directly to them? And very interesting, and they're very frank, very kind, and it's going to be really interesting what I have to say and the things that I learned about Lionel and even some things upcoming. And I think they may have hinted at what the new this year's brand new vision line is. I got there, check in, registration was closed. I got there late Monday night. So Tuesday morning, I go down, I register to where you register, and that was nice. They handed me a box car, which I'll have in another video. Now there were layouts, modular layouts being run at one end of the hotel. It's big. It's a convention hotel, and it has some small rooms, but in the center there's a bunch of rooms. They could make them bigger and bigger. So they have stuff cordoned off. There's the LCCA store and uh, trading hall, and then there's the meet and greet area. There's the banquet hall, but there was also a question and answer hall. But on the one side, there were smaller rooms that had modular layouts. I have videos of them. They're really nice. Some of them they let you work stuff, operate some trains. You've probably seen the LCCA's layout if you've been to New York. You've seen some of it there. A lot of my video though is operating accessories. There wasn't too much trains running, uh, so that was really nice. That was pretty cool, and I did enjoy that. Uh, then the next thing was I went on a Lionel tour. Went to Lionel, and let me come back here so I don't want to miss anything here. Uh, Met Ryan Kunkel and Dave Olsen. Met them several times. Uh, when Ryan, excuse me, Dave was when we first met him at his where he does all the engineering, and he was showing us trains going around. We were allowed to film anything. I was surprised when we went in. They said, "Oh, feel free to film anything you want, take pictures you want, ask any questions you want." Okay, so uh, Dave mentioned that the sound guy had been going to Illinois. He usually doesn't get to travel, but the sound guy went to Illinois, and he was doing the Frisco 1630 Decapod. So could that be this year's Vision line, which is brand new tooling? We'll find out. It takes 2 years to make a Vision line. Uh, then they took us to the repair area, and in that area, and I thought I was filming it, so I didn't get it on camera. I did get the repair area, but I didn't get the head of the repair shop, who showed us a tender, as a Union Pacific oil tender, an older one. Somebody sent it in, and they just had it wrapped in some rags. And this thing got more damaged in shipping than when he sent it in for the problem that it had, that he said that it had. So somebody brought up the idea maybe they could film how to properly package stuff so when people send stuff in. I guess somebody got mad. I don't know. I don't understand why you get mad at your own stuff, but they sent it in. So he showed us. Right now, when he was there were actually, I think he said, only 13 things in to be repaired. So they got caught up. Um, let's see here. Then we went to the parts, millions of parts or a million parts, but it's not like what people think when they see parts. It could be some wheels, it could be some axles or something, or some trucks. But everybody thinks they have every little part for everything. They're not. These are specialty built to order items, so they just don't have as many parts for everything as people think or wish they did. They only have parts that going back 10 years. What they have with there's been problems with the boards. I think there's hoarding by regular customers of boards, so they've pulled back on giving them out to people. And I've seen online people say that they're like, well, when they go on sale, I buy as many as I can. Scoop them all up. Well, that's why Lionel, they run out of them, and then there's a shortage, and you got to wait a little while. So they gave up on selling them and just let people who are licensed repair to have the most of these boards, at least on the legacy stuff. Uh, at least one container arrives in the warehouse a day. That's when I'm shipping containers, and it's a really nice operation. You'll see in my video how big the warehouse is and how much product is in there. A lot. They do a lot of products, and I'll have some stats that I can read off to you in a little bit. Um, let's see here. Custom cars are done in house. They showed us the machine. I got that on video. They have the some of the girls, what they call the boys and girls box cars, the Katie box cars, the pink ones. They had some of them out, and they also have a box car that I think is going to be offered, unless somebody's custom running it and I didn't see it. But it's the Aberdeen and Carolina. Like I have the tanker car, which they sold only to the people who rode on the train, which I did, and on on the shelf was a box car. So I'm wondering if that's going to be for sale in the next catalog, and they're just doing it now, or somebody did a special run. But I saw that there. But they put the cars in like six at a time inside of two different printers they have. One's called Bert and one's called Ernie, and that's what they call them. And you just see the thing going across. I have it on video. It's not really dramatic. It just goes back and forth like a printer, and eventually just prints on the box cars. And they gave us our own. They let us sit in President Howard Hitchcock's chair for 30 seconds. We were called president of Lionel. They let us. They took a picture. Took a picture with Howard. They then told us that we'll get our picture on a custom box car. And I have all that stuff in a video of a haul. Another video. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos of a haul of my LCCA haul. Because I also went to the Lionel store, which is in the mall. I'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see. Oh, and there was a guy who worked there. I can't remember his name. I wish I could. He's about 85, and he started working at Lionel. He doesn't work there now. He's retired, but he said that he started working at Lionel in '78, and he knows the whole history of the company. He worked there for 35 years, and then he retired. And when he retired, uh, in the 2000s, I guess 78, I think around 2013 or something. He worked there when they had the headquarters in New Jersey, Michigan, all that. And he says right after he retired, they moved everything down to Concord, and he lives in Winston-Salem, like an hour away or 2 hours away. But they let him show up at parties, and sometimes the event that we had, he showed up and he told us about what it's like to work there. I didn't hear the whole thing because eventually I was going to get my picture taken with Howard Hitchcock. But he did mention the one thing that almost ruined the company when he was there. He said right now, well, let's talk about that. He said that they had lost a $40 million lawsuit to MTH, and he explained what happened. And he said that what happened was the lawsuit was something Korea did. The stuff was made in Korea, and the factory in Korea did something on their own. I forget what it was. I'm sure some of you guys know what it is, but they did something, and they basically ripped off MTH, and they did this on their own. And Lionel didn't even know what was going on. Well, MTH sued. The lawsuit took place in federal court in Michigan. And then what happened was, at that time the trial was going on, there were a bunch of layoffs happening with union guys. Michigan's a big Detroit uh, state. Detroit's a big. Did I say Michigan? Detroit. Michigan is a big state with union people, and Detroit's a big union city. So Lionel was also letting people go. Well, the jurors just didn't hesitate to rule against Lionel. And a lot of them admitted that they were just mad at people being let go for jobs going to China. So Lionel appealed the case and they won. So ultimately Lionel won the case. They never paid the 40 million. And this guy used to work there told us that would have really hurt the company. That was probably the only scary time he worked there. But he also mentioned that where the company was in '78 to where it is even today, it's way, way better shape, much better. And Lionel is in really great shape. I think they had 92 million in sales last year. You can look that up online. But that includes all the NASCAR stuff they sell too. So, but they sell a lot, and uh, Okay, let me read you the Lionel fact sheet here. Fun facts about Lionel. Lionel's production team produces 12,000 boxcars annually. The printers I said are Bert and Ernie, the Christmas boxcar. Following the Christmas boxcar, Lionel's next biggest sellers of personalized boxcars are the It's a Boy and It's a Girl boxcars. Lionel Engineering North Carolina includes mechanical, electrical, software, and audio disciplines. There are over 34,000 lines of code in a legacy locomotive. Division locomotives take on average 2 years to develop from concept to ship. Let's see here. Lionel has over 30,000 different part types in our service and repair department. Okay, I thought it's a million, but they don't. Oh, okay, yeah. There are over 1 million parts in our on hand inventory. Lionel Racing produced more than 2 million die-casts featuring 2022 paint schemes. It's a 6-month long process to develop one Lionel catalog. In 2022, there were over 24,000 creative hours spent developing art for Lionel. In 2022, Lionel shipped 2.6 million pieces of inventory. Lionel's Concord warehouse currently houses 1.6 million pieces of inventory. And Lionel has helped homes across America celebrate Christmas for over 123 years, including the White House. And that's the Lionel fact sheet. And then let's see, we get through the warehouse, and when we get through the warehouse, we get to the custom box cars. Okay, yeah, that's about it. That's about the factory tour. When I mentioned. So, well, you can see in my video, there's another guy, Will something. I don't remember the rest of his name. Has a YouTube channel. He has a really long tour, much more detailed than I have. Mine's edited down to about maybe 15 minutes, I think, at the most. So then we had what they called a mini meet and greet. Uh, that night, Lionel decided to do an sort of an impromptu thing. They had two small rooms at the hotel. One was for recording, where you could record your voice, but you had to sign up for it, and it sold out quickly. You had to sign a release form too. So if they use your voice um, on a train or something, I'm sure you probably recognize it, but you're not getting paid for it. So, but then they had another room where you go in and they some prizes, but they had stuff on display. Ryan Kunkel showing people how to do static grass, and he did something that I saw that Chris from Chris's Trains and Things did when he does his, where he might have used a coffee filter or something like that, or a shirt or something, but Ryan used a stocking, a lady stocking, and you vacuum over to get the loose grass up, static grass, so you don't waste it, and it stays in there while the vacuum's running. It doesn't get sucked into the vacuum; it stays like in the stocking, and then you hold it over your jar, turn it off, and you put your excess static grass back into your container. So, and while they're sitting there, Dave Olsen was just sitting outside. So I went up and I asked him a few questions, and I asked him about and several people had asked this question too at the regular meet and greet, or the Lionel seminar, I should say, where they did showed the base three, and it was about Line Chief 2.0. And Line Chief 2.0, people like me like it. I don't have to have everything be scale, and this has to look exact in that. I just like having trains. Some of them are inexpensive. 2.0 is fine for me. And I asked them if they're gonna. I said, well, I'd like to see how they did like the smaller big boy and the baby K4. I said, how about a baby S1? And he just kind of laughed. He said, nah. He says, we have to make money off it, and that stuff doesn't make money. They've cut back a lot on traditional O in the catalogs, if you've noticed, as well as 2.0. They used to have sometimes 4 pages of 2.0. Now they have just two, and they only had eight vehicles. They had four this past catalog, four diesels and four steamers. And Dave told me that you won't see that much anymore. They just, like I said, they don't make money, except the big boys. This big boy always makes money. Like they just put it out Vision Line this year, and they sold them like crazy. And there's custom runs. Everybody's buying custom runs, and they're just as expensive as they are. People just love it and buy it. So then I asked him about something that I've noticed. Uh, a rail fan channel called Jawtooth that I watch. he at this one place he catches these steam engines going up a hill, and you'll hear the pistons and the air tanks, and it shoots sand down on the tracks. But when it does that, it makes a huge mist or a dust cloud. So I asked Dave about a sanding feature on a diesel engine, and I said if it's possible, maybe it'd be Vision Line or something like that. And he said, um, first he explained to me how they work. He's an engineer, a mechanical engineer, so he explained to me how they work. And then I said, yeah, but if you put not just a sound effect of not just sand being loaded into the engine under a sanding tower, but also it's shooting out, then they have the coupler, that the force coupler, where if there's tension on it, it makes different sounds. It's a new feature. And I said, if it's going up a hill or something, it could sound like sand's coming out. But I said, you could add a second smoke unit. So it looks like the cloud, the dust cloud coming out. You hit a button, or the force coupler does it automatically, or you could just hit a button anytime and have it come out. So you hear the sand and you see the smoke coming out. They do the smoke on the pistons, or the water smoke on the tender. Why not try that? Dave said, wow, I never ever thought of that. He told me it's a great idea. I don't know if he'll forget it after I walked away, but he says he'll look into it. I'm not expecting anything out of it, like personally for it, other than hopefully it's on a train. He says it might be something that would start on a vision thing. It might be a vision thing because a new feature like that costs money and they would have to make it back, but it's also something nobody's ever done. So that hopefully that happens. That'd be awesome if that happened. Um, let's see what else did they talk about. Yeah, and then I asked Ryan about stuff being repaired, and I said, I see people complaining online and that, and he corrected me, not nasty or nothing, but he was just nice. But he corrected me and said that people have a right to be upset. They pay a lot of money, and he was very sincere about this. They pay a lot of money, and if they have every right to take it personal. It's a very personal thing, these trains, and it means a lot to all of us. And they spend a lot of money, they wait a long time, and they expect these things to not be broken. Now, he didn't say anything about the paint, or I know people always get on that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But he says, as far as mechanical issues or the electronics, they expect not to have a problem, and they have a right to be angry and upset, absolutely. But then he told me, based on all the hobby stores, that they asked them to report to them because they have to order parts, and or what gets sent back to Lionel is actually they have it down to 1%. And I know it becomes anecdotal because one or two people go online and say, oh, I had a problem, and then other people go on and say I didn't have it. People ignore the good stuff and only unfortunately hear some of the negative. So I believe him. I think he was sincere uh, about the paint. That's something that I forgot to mention about the tour at the end of the tour. Uh, I asked Ryan about what is flash coat painting because I saw that advertised on the Train of the Year, the 2023 Train of the Year, which is a Dreyfus Hudson, but it's a Lionel Lines, and I ordered one. And I said, "Is that kind of like the Aberdeen paint, except it's blue instead of that purple color?" And he said, "Not really." He said it'll shine like it and sparkle. So he went and he got a sample. He has a tender that's painted with it, and the tender, it looks. I have a short on my channel, YouTube short with it, flash coat paint, and when you turn it, it kind of goes from blue to like a purplish color. Some people don't like it. Doesn't bother me. I wish it just stayed different shades of blue because I don't really like a turn of purple, but whatever. But that's what it is. He showed me. He explained that people can contact them and ask how to send paint samples if they know um, if they think they know a certain paint color or something they think would look better on a train and on trains, and then they could contact them and they'll tell them how to send it in, or if they have it or whatever, they'll discuss it with you. Maybe they won't accept it. I don't know. But certainly they're open to any suggestions. You go on there if you have ideas for something you'd like them to make. That's how they know, like how they knew to do the big boy. A lot of they get requests. So you contact them on their website or their contact and ask if there's a certain way to request. I don't know. I never tried it. But, or maybe it's just you just send the email in. and you could request something upcoming. However, with the paint, there's a lot of factors that go into paint colors, how we see it. Just remember back a few years ago, when you go online now and find it, there was a thing where people were looking at. It was a picture of a dress, and you just say, it asks you, what color do you see the dress? Now, I saw that one of them, I saw the dress as purple. Another one, I saw it as blue. Some people saw it as yellow, the exact same dress. Everybody sees things differently. So, especially on the Pennsylvania stuff with the green, some people will see something darker or they'll see it lighter. The new L1 Mikados, that's one's running behind me. Right now, it looks really black coming around the corner here. However, let's see here. Do we have it there? I don't know if I caught it. But anyway, it looks really black in my room here. But if I do go look under certain light, it could look much lighter green, almost like an army green. What's in the paints, what you put them on, all that stuff's a factor. Some people say it's just an excuse. I don't know what to tell you at that point. The chemicals that were in paint years ago are not in paint today. Some of it's illegal. So you can't even recreate the paint exactly. And trains from Pennsylvania Railroad, for instance, came from 3 different manufacturers. So they had an idea as to what to make, what color to make stuff, but they didn't make it all the same. Every train wasn't the same, and then there's light making stuff fade and all this other stuff. So that's just the way it is. The cat with the catalog, and I checked today, is August 2nd, 2023. If you go online with the catalog, they on Lionel's website, I don't know about other people, but they have an updated catalog with the paint schemes, especially on the M1, the Pennsylvania M1. It looked like somebody just airbrushed over it because I think it was too bright a green. Now it looks close to black, except for let me get it out here. Let's get it out here. First of all, these engines are on the catalog and they look much better. They don't look fake. Like in here, they look bizarre in the catalog. Here they are, these M1s. The M1s. This one in particular. This one is the one I'm going to order. The doghouse is still on it, but it doesn't look, when you look at it closely, you could see that it doesn't look like it's got it looks like somebody smoked over it. Instead, it looks the color it's supposed to be. They said they'd fix it, so they do have that updated. And by the way, this one, even though it's a long tender, this one, because it has 6 wheels and see how far apart the wheels are, I asked about this to verify it. This is an 054 curve. Now these ones down here with the 8 wheels, they are, because the wheels are so close there, they are 072. The space between the wheels here allows it to make the sharper curves. There's a big gap between the wheel sets. So I got that verified out of the catalog, and it is changed. I also talked to Stu Rankin quite a bit from Metka, and he talked about custom runs, and he said that they have to do, what is it, 50? I think it's 50 now, maybe 40, but he said they're probably going to up it to 60, and that's the factories who make it, because Lionel just comes up with the concept and everything, but the factories do all the work. None of it's done over here, so it's really tough to coordinate with them. That's a tough job to have them get it right. They send a sample over once they feel it's made, and then Lionel has to look at it and say, "Oh, okay, fix this, fix that," or "It's fine, go ahead and make them." That's what happened to Strasbourg 90. There were 5 major problems. Not sure what they were, and they had to send them back. I think the doodle bugs, I forgot to ask about that. They keep getting delayed, and the difference between them and when they were MTH is that MTH didn't have a smoke unit, so maybe there was a screw up there. Lionel also said that when they buy tooling from MTH, that they change at least 15% of it, or anybody. Williams too, they said they bought a bunch of tooling from. They have to change at least 15% of the tooling to meet their needs. They also did that with the, where is it here? The Lion Chief 2.0, this right here, here's the 2.0 pages. But these were actually, I'm pre-ordering this, getting 6 engines out of this. Uh, this is post-war tooling, and they had to modify it to get the electronics in it for today. But you can run these conventional or any way you want. I don't. I think there might be a way. Maybe it's something new when they said conventional. That's a question I forgot to ask. Running a conventional, I wonder if there's a switch on there to turn off the electronics. I wonder if that's what they did to it, because that way, if there's a problem, you could still run these. Maybe there is. Maybe there's a switch, or you could just disconnect the plug or something. But they said even the lights up top, they left just jewel lights. They're not actual LEDs, so they look the same. It has that whole post-war look. So you can run it with modern electronics, or you can run it conventional. So we'll find out when it comes in. I ordered one. There will be a video on it. Um, but they had to change that tooling. Uh, what else? Oh, back to talking to Stu Rankin. He mentioned that the factories, the work that they do, uh, is a lot, and they have to train to do everything, especially putting the decals on and that. So when they have to do an engine, it's a lot of work to learn how to do it right, and they get into a groove and want to do them, and it's like, oh, I have to do all this learning how to fix an engine, and time is money, and learning stuff costs money. They have to learn how to put together the engine, do it correctly, take it out of the mold. It looks just like a model, as Howard Hitchcock said. It comes out like a model, and they have to get all the burrs off and break out parts and all that stuff. It's labor intensive, and they want to make it worth their while to learn how to do each engine because they're different. So they're probably going to up it to a minimum of each engine they need an order of at least 60. So even for special runs, people have to do that. MTH is, I believe, 25. They only MTH is barely around, but this is, just expensive. He also told me, Stu told me that they that what is it? About I asked him about the open air car. I said nobody's ever done an open air car, and he explained to me that it's very um, he's not sure why. I said, I don't think it's durable enough. You have just posts going up into the roof of an open air car. How would you run the lights up? I mean, you can make it out of metal, but would it be stable like the Atlas auto racks? Because everybody would want a heavy car. They're not going to want one that's just a plastic shell. This looks cheap. I don't want that. It doesn't go up my heavyweights or whatever. Well, I mean, is it going to wobble too much? Will it tip? Could it tip over? Where are you going to hide the lights? Maybe you could get the posts that hold the roof up to have maybe the wires go up through there. That's a lot just to have a hollow post. Um, the passenger cars are very labor intensive because you have um, especially the older wooden ones where they have like the roof on top of the roof. They have the little slits for glass, and so light can get in through the top, and they have to cut out each one of those little things with the little knife and buff it and all this other stuff. A lot of labor. He said that's why they're expensive. And he was told that just to break even, he would have to do 200 passenger cars on a special run. He said, no, never do one. Never. You'll never see Metka do one because of that. And you rarely see passenger cars with special runs. So that was pretty interesting conversation. Um, he said hopefully they'll have their final artwork in before the pre-order time. I'm looking to see that they have 4 engines. 2 I might get off him again. 4 out of this catalog, and 2 from Metka, the New Hope Ivyland one, and they're also doing a SD70 Ace Lionel lines. It's a fantasy Lionel lines paint scheme. Believe it or not, a fantasy Lionel lines paint scheme, but that's what they're doing. I hope there's enough pre-orders for that one. I think New Hope seems to be a lot of people wanted that, but we'll see. And Stu also told me you got it like he's doing a New Hope one now because they did one a few years ago. You got to do it when it's hot. If it eventually all these certain regional or what do you call them, smaller railroads, the private ones like the Aberdeen and that, they're popular for a little bit and then they kind of fade away. It's not like the main railroads, like the Pennsylvania or Union Pacific or Norfolk Southern. It just isn't like that where people are really into those, and people like the niche thing. So let's see. Oh, I also asked Ryan about the Dreyfus Hudson, and really was he's told me, he's like, I said, I know you guys are going to probably do them again because you had mentioned before on a uh, interview I saw him do about the catalog back in February on Train World TV. He said that they'll probably do the Dreyfus again because that's brand new tooling. They'll do it again with maybe in not certainly they don't do it this coming January because people just be getting theirs if they're on time, and they're not going to look in the catalog and say, "Oh, let me get another one." So he said the 1930s or excuse me 40s passenger cars and engines they'll put in maybe in 2024, excuse me 2025, or at least within the next 5 years because they spent a lot of money. That's all brand new tooling. They decided not to reuse the old Dreyfus tooling, so they just made this brand new one. A couple $100,000 to make a mold. We call them tooling. They're molds, and that's what they refer to them as molds. And he said that the they want to get their money back and they can get it kind of quickly again. That's like what Stu said. Something comes out, it could be popular with it for a couple of years, and then he says they'll take off. Maybe the Dreyfus they could probably do every 5 years something, but at least every 10. But I asked him, I says, well, in your next run, I know you're probably thinking of doing like the pacemaker, the red one. And I said, I hope that you do. I said, with Harry Potter, maybe they'll do that. Not Harry Potter, Polar Express anniversary coming up in 2024. They might have that, just that one engine for them. But I said, I do Christmas stuff, and I really hope you do one in Christmas because I ordered the Lionel Lines one. So I said, Christmas one would be great, a Christmas themed one. And he laughed. He's like, "Well, I got lots of ideas. Can't tell you exactly what they are, but they do plan like a year ahead. The catalogs are always working on. It takes 6 months, so they're usually a year ahead. They're already working on the January one, so they were already looking at the ideas and all that. Then they mentioned the anniversaries coming up, like this year was Disney's 100. Next year is so they're giving a hint as to what they're going to put in the catalogs, and have a lot about. And the uh, Polar Express is next year, 20th anniversary, so they're doing something for that. They made a big deal out of it, so they will have stuff. I like the movie, but I'm from the Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation generation for Christmas movies, not exactly Polar Express. I'm 55, so the and 2025 is Lionel's 125th anniversary, so I know I'll be getting something Lionel lines out of that. Maybe a couple things, and then 2026 is the country's 250th birthday, 250th birthday or anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence. Now, there's not apparently, I guess our government can't get it together, so there's not going to be a big freedom train or a big to do, which is a shame. There was a committee, and I guess they've since been disbanded. That got together around 2015 to work on this, a 10-year plan, and just the last year or two they've been disbanded. Where basically nobody's told to show up. It basically doesn't exist, and so there won't be a freedom train. And Lionel is going to still do stuff. They have American History series, but you can expect to see some sort of patriotic train. Maybe it's a version of it. Maybe it'll be. They make so much money off the big boy. Maybe they'll do the the red, white, and blue big boy because they're doing one with the Rio Grande paint scheme. I kid you not, somebody's doing a big boy custom run Rio Grande with the yellow and black or the gold and black. That's go online and look that one up. It actually isn't too bad, but don't be surprised if there's something like that. I just thought of that, but who knows? But anyway, let's go on to the Lionel store. Before we get to the store, one other thing I just thought of. Ryan says that they like doing um, like some of the smaller steam engines you'll see in every catalog in Legacy, and even some of the small diesels where they put like the GP30s in this time. And the reason why is because people with small layouts they want them to have a chance to get legacy stuff, especially since they're cutting back on 2.0. They really weren't much. There wasn't hardly any Lion Chief stuff. Excuse me. There's hardly any Lion Chief stuff. They don't even do Lion Chief Plus anymore, I don't think. But okay, so I went to the Lionel store in the Concord Mall. I drove down there, so I drove down by myself. Great place. Not going to talk a lot about it. I have a whole video on that. Um, Everything that's in the catalog's there, but they're at catalog prices. However, there's usually on sale. And then there's this bargain area. I got two cars. One was kind of a plastic tank car. Said 15 on it. It's part of a set, but it was a Christmas car. And then there was a um, car from Pennsylvania Railroad caboose that you'll see right behind me coming up. That lights up, and I got that. It's basically brand new, lights up, and it said 15 on it. I flipped it over. Both of them were $1 each because I had my LCCA badge. So they had 20% discount, or the stuff in a bargain bin was $1. Um, uh, they had discounts on engines. So I bought. Wanted to buy stuff to fill up my layout with buildings and that. And I figured, why not get all that out of the way now instead of buying it piece by piece? So, because I could afford it now, so just get it. I got really great prices, better than anything you can find online. I didn't have to pay shipping. Since I drove, I filled up my trunk, um, and just got a lot of good deals. And now I have pretty much all of my buildings. This building right here, that's actually a building flat. I'll have a video out on that at some point. That's PTF Designs, and I'm going to start using them to fill up any other spaces because you can make them dirt cheap. Even make them yourself, but they're really cheap to get, and that's how. But anyway, I got a lot of buildings, and now I could just concentrate on getting rolling stock and engines when I spend my money. Uh, for the most part, unless something really new comes out, like the Lionelville Theater, they had the Disney version of that there, and it looks really nice. Um, at the Lionel store too, they have again the engines, walls of engines. You get them discounts. So just if you're ever down there, it's cool. They're opening a store in Nashville, Tennessee, in a mall. So if you're there, it's opening Labor Day weekend. So if you're there, check it out. Um, then we did the meet and greet, Q&A. I just put that up online. Uh, then there was a first timers party, and there were a lot of first timers there. I'll do the stats at the end, the final stats. A lot of people went. Um, Got to meet people there. They gave away prizes and just talked about the trains and the hobby in general. Just meeting different people. It was a lot of fun. Uh, then there was a get to know dinner. That's where table I ended up sitting at. I sat with some people and Stu Rankin, and it was an informal dinner. They had a buffet and all that stuff, and really good food. And they, basically as you sit around, you talk to other people you don't know. It's kind of like a bunch of strangers sitting down, and you just meet other people and maybe make some friends. So but it was a lot of fun. They kept us busy all week. Let's see, and then we went to the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western train, and rode on that. I'm going to put up a video of that. Amazing place. If you love trains, especially like I do, just being able to ride on it. They have a warehouse that's converted into a train station. Basically, they're refurbishing a whole bunch of trains. They have green diesels, not purple ones. Um, but they don't have a store to buy anything, any merchandise store, or anything yet. They don't always run excursions. Usually, you need a big group like we had, and there were 2 train rides. That's how many people went, and we had everything. The observation car. They had a raffle to give away for people to sit up in it, or I should say the observation car on the top of it, or the dome car. I'm sorry, the dome car. And most people didn't want to stay in it the whole time because the train was so beautiful. They just wanted to walk it. So they ended up letting other people, and I got to go up in there eventually and walked around. I got some video of the train. It was really cool. I'm glad I was on the second train that came, because when the first train came back, we were able to see it come into the warehouse, which is like a train station. And I have video of that. I was actually kind of far away, so I could really get. Some people wanted to be up close as it came in. I stayed back and had it come all the way towards me. It's just really awesome, beautiful train, and just a great time had by all, and loved it. Had a box lunch. There's not much to see so much on a train, like sightseeing, but it's just great to ride on it. It's just fun to ride on a train. It's all. It's just really fun to ride on a train. And when we were coming back to the station or the company headquarters, we crossed over a road and the traffic was stopped, and people had heard this train was running because it doesn't run all the time, and they were getting out of their cars. Everybody's taking pictures. I mean, it's a beautiful train. The whole thing is just so nice looking. It's as nice as the Lionel set, and met some great people on the train and talked with them too. So, and on the bus ride over, they had a bus shuttle us there. It was close to an hour and a half ride to get there. So, you sit there and you talk to people, talk about the hobby, what's your layout like, when you do this, that, and I just love doing that. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Um, what else happened there? Oh, they have a train car that was used in the 1960s by the Beatles when they traveled around the country because the interstate system wasn't that good. There really weren't tour buses, and so they found it was still easier to travel by train in certain areas to get around, especially for them because they're on a bus. The bus stops at red lights. Trains are kind of away from everything and they don't really stop as much. So the Beatles back then, if you watch videos where people just chase them, girls would just chase them down the street. They couldn't leave their hotel room. So for them being on the train, and they have pictures of it, well, they got this train car and it's being restored. I have video of the back of the train where they were partying in, and they're going to eventually get that up and running. So that was really neat. They had a caboose that was actually stained, like a wood stain with like a shellac over it. It's just gorgeous wood. Just unbelievable. I have that on video too. It's really cool. The whole setup they have there. It's really interesting. I mean, coming in the station too. When we came back, it was like if you were rich. I was thinking, boy, that $1 billion lottery. Everybody went, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. Not me. Maybe I'd just buy my big train. It was like pulling it into a garage. Like if you had just a giant garage to park your train in, this is what it felt like. It was just so cool. And even people on as we are going up the highway and that, not just the highway where people took pictures, but all along the tracks at different spots. There were people, all ages, men and women, a lot of women especially. I think that purple train appeals to the women, the color, because a lot of women were taking pictures of it. They really liked it. That was a great time. If you can find a way to get on that train and ride an excursion, do it. Um, one other thing too was behind me right here. See behind me that thing sticking up? That's a can of beer. They Ryan said, "Oh, we got to do a toast." So everybody in the hall, and there were about 400 people at the Lionel seminar. They came out. They had trash cans with ice and filled with the giant 16-ounce can of Lionel beer, and it kind of tastes like the beer Yingling. If you've ever heard of that, I live here in Pennsylvania. It's very popular, very good beer. This beer tastes like Yingling. It was ice cold. It was iced down properly, and it was good. And I ended up drinking the whole thing. Sat and I was like, wow, nice free refreshments. That was really nice of them to give us a free drink. Then after the Aberdeen, there was the trade hall, and they call it a trade hall. Maybe that's for tax purposes. Uh, Sort of what they do with at York, and it was just LCCA members could get in on Friday night, Saturday morning or afternoon. It was open again, and that was open to other people. And I think they may have let people who weren't members in. They did let them shop in there, but there were other people who weren't members. Maybe they were allowed to sell. I'm not sure, but I ended up getting two post-war cars in there. I shouldn't say post-war. A set that I had, a Lionel line set that came out, and I was buying in pieces. And it's a uh, MPC era. Talking a lot, losing my mind. MPC era, two cars, so it was like an 8-car set. I have all of them except the diesel engine, and I see them being sold at York, so I have to look for one that's in good shape and pick that up. That'll, I guess, be my big thing. It's only $150 usually for a good one, so that'll be an MPC era thing I have, which I don't have any. So And then Saturday night, I left Saturday, so I had to come home. I was tired and I had to go back to work. And anyway, it was they had a banquet I did not attend. The banquet has supposedly about 500 people were attending, and it's huge, the hall. And that apparently is where they bring the food to you. I don't think it's a buffet, but that was that's a recap. I hope I gave you lots of good info on upcoming stuff, how things work. I hope I didn't bore you, but I just want to give you information. So here's some final numbers here. There were 411 members registered just to join, so they could come to this convention. So they gained 411 new members. 828 members attended. There were 109 first timers, 336 at the Lionel seminar. I think there was more than that. 351 at the Get Acquainted party, and 481 attended the banquet. So, finally, I would just like to thank everybody who ran this. I want to thank Lionel for going out of their way. They're there, so they usually have some people go to the convention. Next year, I believe it's in Omaha, Nebraska, and the big thing is going to the Bailey Yards, which is the largest rail yard in the country, one of the largest in the world. I know there's a big observation tower there you could go up in and watch them work. You can find YouTube videos of it. It's Union Pacific. It's huge. Um, I'm sure there'll be other stuff going on. I'll have to look at what else goes on around Omaha. Um, but I want to thank who's no longer the president. Oh God, why am I forgetting his name? Well, I want to thank Stu Rankin for talking, uh, talking to me, giving me lots of info. He also talked to a guy called who has a YouTuber who was there the other side of the tracks. I met him, talked to him for a little bit. He gave an interview with Stu Rankin, mainly about the New Hope stuff. He's into New Hope stuff too, so Stu's got that custom run of the steam engine. Uh, and then there's everybody who volunteered at LCCA. Richard Petty, who was at the dinner Monday night. I forgot about. Oh, how could I forget about? I'm not into NASCAR, but they had dinner at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. There's a banquet room there, and they had dinner there or dining room. And Richard Petty was there and talked to people, did a meet and greet himself. And he's in his 80s, so he didn't walk around. He's old. It's not easy to walk, but he looks great. And uh, again, everybody at Lionel, Ryan, Dave, Howard Hitchcock, all the other employees whose names escape me, um, and Sal Palumbo. That's who I meant to thank. This was his final thing, his final hurrah. He went out with a bang. This was excellent. Went great. They had a lot for us to do all week, and I'm sure I'm maybe helping us even get those discounts at the Lionel store, which was huge help to me. I really loved it. And he's Sal was no longer the president. His term expired. I guess it expired on Monday morning. He said so. As of Sunday, was just sort of his last day, but he was no longer the president. But he did an excellent job, and like I said, went out with a bang. So thanks to everybody. I don't know everybody's names. A lot of people. I'm not. It's one, I can remember everything except names. I stink at names, but thanks again. Thanks for watching. Please remember this is GAN Railroad. Please remember to like, rate, subscribe, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.